Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we are on the heybike Horizon, a very cool looking dual suspension, foldable, 24-inch sized wheel e-bike. This thing has a very cool looking paint job, but let's see what the performance is today. We're going to bring it through all of our usual tests, and that way you guys can actually decide if this is a bike worth buying. Speaking of which, to get the most updated price, check out the link in the description below. I will also list any available discount codes down there as well. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do our 0 to 20 test, throttle only. Here we go, 3, 2, 1, boom. $20. All right. And I always do this after the 0 to 20 test. I really should start doing this before, but as you can tell, the speedometer is mostly accurate. It is mostly synced up to the GPS speed, so we don't need to go by this today. We don't need to mount this on the handlebar, and that's great because this handlebar is narrow. As you can tell, there is very little space to mount anything. So we're going to keep the phone in the pocket today. I do have my heated motorcycle gloves on, although I don't need to turn these on today because this is probably one of the last warmer days that we're going to get in New England. Winter is coming, but if you guys are interested in checking out these gloves, they are linked in the description below as well. Let's see how this bike does on the main long hill climb test. Here we go, main hill climb test, throttle only, 3, 2, 1, boom. Moderately soft start. And speaking of starts, if you want to start following this channel, please feel free to subscribe to the channel if I have earned your subscription. Like the video if you like it, and follow me on social media. I am on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I have 2 Facebook groups, e-bike addicts and high-speed e-bikes 40 miles an hour and up. What is going on with the battery bar? We already lost the battery bar and we're 1.3 miles in. What is happening? I just took this battery off the charger, and there it is. There's the time. All right, we're going to pull over and see what the free spinning wheel speed is. Pedal assist 5. I did, of course, unlock this bike, so we're getting it 34 miles an hour. We always do this kind of useless downhill speed test. I like to throw this in here because it is on the way to the steep hill climb test. There we go. Pedal up to speed, and let's see if the motor can take us to that top speed of 34 miles an hour of where the wheel stops spinning. And looks like we are just about there. 33 miles an hour. I do feel the motor cut out. And guys, I am looking forward to this ride. I do feel that rear shock working, and it does feel pretty good. It feels rather plush, I'm not gonna lie. I feel it doing a great job absorbing a lot of the bumps in this sidewalk. And thankfully this bike also does come with the fat tires, so the suspension will do a great job with absorbing the big bumps, and the tires are going to do a great job with absorbing these smaller bumps. Handlebar width test, as I already mentioned earlier, this is a narrower handlebar. This is a foldable e-bike, and typically these foldable e-bikes do come with narrow handlebars because it's all about space savings. Very compact handlebar. Once again, not a lot of space to mount anything, but if you don't want to mount anything, you'll be just fine. We are going to take out the phone for the steep hill climb test, just to be consistent. Stopping at the line. 3, 2, 1, go. Throttle only. Let's see how this bike does. 48-volt system, 24-inch size wheels. See if we could even do it. Number 1. Number 2, at what speed? And it is not looking good. We are slowing down to a crawl. This is terrible for the motor. Yeah, I'm going to say this bike cannot do it. Once you start going into 3 miles an hour and you're trying to push a bunch of power into the motor, that is horrible for the motor. So we'll say this bike cannot do the steep hill climb test. What are you going to do? 20 mile an hour brake test. Ready, brake. Oh, a little shaky there. The front end was jumping up and down a bit. The rear tire did lock up. So I initiated my brake right around here. rear tire locked up. As you guys can see, that's the skid mark right there. This is going to be the new format for the 20-mile-an-hour brake test. We stop here, or at least I do my best to stop here, and we see how far we go. I feel like I should put some like chalk lines here or some kind of lines to indicate how well the bike did. There's an oil stain right there we can use as a reference. We got these little spots in the road right here that we can use as a reference. Alright, so we got a couple points of reference. I'm not going to be busting out the tape measure and measuring how far it is. That's just too much work. Moving on. So the braking power is decent on this bike. Dual piston calipers, nothing to write home about, but they work. They will be adequate. We're going to be going down to our secondary review ride area, and we're going to go back on the sidewalk. And once again, I cannot express to you guys enough how nice the rear shock feels. It does have one downside, and it mostly applies to if you are a heavier rider. So I am about 195 pounds right now, and even for me, at times, like right now when I rode up that curb, I do feel the rear shock bottoming out. And normally that's fine. You could just adjust it and make it firmer. However, this shock is not adjustable. So if you're a lighter weight rider, this rear suspension will be fine, but if you're heavier, expect it to bottom out, unfortunately. But right now, for someone my weight, it does feel just fine. You know, like riding over the sidewalk right now feels pretty good. A lot of e-bikes I test on the same exact route for a reason. I want things to be consistent so I can really get a good comparison of what different suspension systems feel like. And so far, this one is doing well. We're going to enter a small portion of the Sidewalk of Doom right now, which is a poorly maintained sidewalk in my town. Perfect for an e-bike suspension test. And right now, we are doing just fine. All I hear is the kickstand rattling around, but that's fine. What's most important is that I am nice and comfortable on my e-bike, and I have a nicely functioning suspension. So next up, we're going to do our top speed test, throttle only. We'll pedal up to speed, maybe to about 25 miles an hour, and then see where the throttle takes us. This road does go downhill initially, and then flattens out. So we'll see where we end up. All right, throttle only. 28. I do feel a strong headwind. 28 miles an hour. Going uphill a bit now. All right, so that's the top speed. And like I said earlier, I did unlock the top speed of this bike. If you look right here, you go into the P settings, where it says P7, 39 miles an hour. That's as high as we can go. And before we continue with the review ride, testing out this bike, let's head back into the MCHQ and go over the specs and components of this bike. See you guys in a bit. And let's take a look at the specs and components of the heybike Horizon, starting at the top. Locking ergonomic style leather handlebar grips, hydraulic disc brake levers. We've got a light switch right up here, which does turn on the top portion of the headlight. Here's what the rear light looks like, and it does flash when you hit the brakes. Here's a better look at what the headlight looks like, and this, by the way, is where the horn sound comes out of. Turn signal switch, and we get turn signals in the front and in the back as well. And we get a horn button down here. Simple minimalist control panel, power button, plus and minus button. Couple more buttons on the side. Turning the bike on, as you can tell, we have a simple minimalist looking display. You got your usual battery bar, speedometer, pedal assist levels, and you can switch from trip, odometer, max speed, and average speed. And you could also see the voltage on the display. Very nice. Typical Shimano 7-speed shifter, thumb throttle, and an auto headlight switch right here. Moving on down, we've got some nice looking cable sleeving. Down here is the latch for the adjustable height handlebar stem. Here's the latch for the folding handlebar. All you have to do is push this up, fold this latch down, and the handlebar will fold down. Right there, and there we have it. On the frame, looks like we have some mounts for a front basket and other accessories. This bike has plastic fenders in the front and in the rear. For the suspension fork, we have a preload and a lockout with compression adjustment right here. Now these are 24-inch size tires. They're not as big as 26. They're not as small as 20. They are just right in the middle. A lot of people like this size wheel, and these wheels do come with the usual knobby treaded tires. For brakes, we have 180mm rotors and dual piston calipers. And you get the same setup in the back. Moving on down, check out this paint job. And as you can tell, this is a step-through frame, and it is folding. Here's the folding mechanism, and here's our UL certification sticker. I do appreciate that there is a place to rest this bike when it is folded. Some bikes don't have this support bracket down here, and you're forced to rest the bike on the chainring. Thankfully, Heybike does include this, so you can fold your bike up and not damage it. Here's your Class 2 sticker on the side. Since this bike is foldable, you also get foldable pedals. Nice. Basic rear suspension, but I am happy it has suspension. This is actually rare to find in a step-through bike. This bike does come with a rear rack for cargo. The seat is decently wide, and it's actually very, very cushy and soft right here. This seat looks like it would also be great to hang from the back of your truck, if you guys know what I mean. The battery is integrated into the frame. Here's your charge port, and here's the keyhole to remove the battery. Let's take a look at the battery. Put the key in, turn it, battery pops out. Here's the label on the battery. It looks like this is a 48 volt, 14.4 amp hour battery. And this battery does have a switch, so if you turn the battery itself off, the bike will actually be off. Otherwise, if this is on, the bike will still use up a tiny bit of power, and you'll still be able to use a lot of the functions on the handlebars. So if you truly want to turn this bike off, make sure you turn the battery off, and that way your battery won't get drained. And this bike does come with a 4 amp charger. Let's put the battery back in, throw the bottom in place, and it locks in. Don't forget to take the key out. And the motor of this bike is advertised to peak at 1400 watts. This bike comes with a 7-speed transmission, Shimano tourney derailleur, and a derailleur guard, and a medium-sized chainring. And this bike also does come with an app, but I do know that with the app you can adjust things like the top speed. You can also adjust the intensity of each pedal assist level, which is pretty amazing. And by the way, you can also do all of that in the display settings. And it does show you how to do all of that in the manual right here. So you get all your P settings, and you can adjust the same thing in the display settings that you can do in the app. Welcome back to the review ride. We're gonna be testing out the ghost pedaling next. If you guys can get a good look at where my legs are. Pedaling away, this is what the cadence looks like at just about 30 miles an hour. And considering this bike reaches 28 miles an hour top speed on flat ground, and the motor gives out at about 33 miles an hour, it's very unlikely that you're going to be ghost pedaling on this bike. And that is always a good thing. Next, let's check out the different pedal assist speeds. This is a cadence sensor, and the way this works is it's going to cut you off at a certain speed per pedal assist level. So for example, right now, pedal assist 1, we get cut off at 10 miles an hour. And the same thing happens with throttle. So your throttle is linked with your pedal assist level. Sometimes throttles give you full power. Sometimes they're linked to the pedal assist levels. This happens to be the case. So what we'll do is just see where the throttle will take us per level. Level 1, level 2 tops us out at just about, looks like 13 to 14 miles an hour. Level 3 gives us just about 19 miles an hour. Level 4 looks like we get about 23 miles an hour. And of course, level 5 will give you full power. And by the way, in the settings, you can adjust how many pedal assist levels there are and the pedal assist level ratio. And that'll determine how much power you get per pedal assist level. So this bike has some awesome adjustability features. On the smaller form factor does give this bike a nimble feel. Even though it does have nearly full-size wheels and big fat tires, it does seem to feel a little bit more tossable than some of the other e-bikes I've reviewed in the past. So the size of this bike isn't too big. It's not too small. For most people, it'll be just right. And I know a lot of people that definitely like this size wheel. Sometimes with the big wheels you get a huge frame and it's just too much for a lot of people. So I've been seeing more and more of these 24-inch wheeled e-bikes for a reason. That's because people really like them, and I can see why. Contact points on this bike do feel pretty good. You get basic pedals, but you do get locking ergonomically shaped handlebar grips. And the seat is nice and cushy. Always appreciate that. And that seat combined with the rear shock is going to give for a nice, cushy luxurious ride. Lots of handlebar electronics on this bike. You get your horn, which is decently loud. If you're on a pedestrian walkway, they will definitely hear you. You get left and right turn signals, both in the front of the bike and in the rear, and they are decently visible. You get a designated light switch right here, so you don't need to hold down any buttons. And speaking of buttons, the control panel is very simple. You get a simple plus and minus button and a couple other buttons on the side. Thumb throttle on the right, pretty basic. And this auto light down here, that is an auto headlight button. The suspension travel on the front fork is decent. This is a budget front fork, nothing to write home about, but it does work. It will do the job. When you're dropping off curbs, you will feel it working as it should. So that's it for today, folks. Let me know what you guys think about the heybike Horizon. This is a pretty cool looking foldable bike. Not a lot of foldable bikes have dual suspension and as many features as this bike has, especially those 24-inch size wheels. If you guys do want to check out this bike, it is listed in the description below, along with any coupon codes available. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about this bike. If you guys like videos like this, please feel free to subscribe to the channel if I've earned your subscription and if you want to support these reviews. Follow me on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and I have 2 Facebook groups, E-Bike Addicts and High Speed E-Bikes 40 miles an hour and up, all of which are linked in the description below. That's it for today, folks. Until next time.